Thank you very much. Thank you, Urs. Thank you. Thank you for your welcome. Thank you. You changed the introduction. Now it's very, very long, but I guess it's the last one. So dear Master in Management class of 2023, I'm delighted to be with you here today to celebrate your commencement. And of course, welcome to your parents, to your families, friends, members of the INSEAD community, faculty and staff. And a very warm welcome to Chinta Pragat, who is an INSEAD alumnus from 2000D. It was the pioneering class here in Singapore. So he was the one who decided to take the risk and be the first one to study in Singapore. And he's done well. So I think that it was a wise decision. These events are always very special occasions. But today, as Urs said, is an extra special for me because it is my last MIM commencement ceremony. As a dean, of course, later on I can come as a professor. It has been an honor to hold this position for 10 years, and I have been privileged to witness how the school changed and how many milestones we achieved together with the team and the community. However, with all these things that have happened in the last 10 years, whether it's rankings, campuses, buildings, and so on, I would say that indeed our proudest achievement is the creation of the Master in Management program. So I'm very happy and proud that this happened during my deanship. As many of my colleagues will mention today, INSEAD is immensely proud to have you as a class of MIM23. Today is a special day, because today marks the beginning and not the end of your relationship with INSEAD, because you are the future of INSEAD. We're not just proud of what you achieved over the last 10 months, but how you went about achieving these goals. You had overcome obstacles to reach this milestone during a challenging period characterized by much uncertainty and disruption. What everybody says about this class, the MIM classes, is that the sense of optimism, resilience, reciprocity, energy is completely unparalleled compared to any other part of our programs. So congratulations again on achieving this milestone. And today, as you go out, remember the values of INSEAD. You're a cohort of 35 nationalities, but you know that in general at INSEAD, diversity is a very important value, and we have over 90 nationalities on campus. I want to start a little bit, to share a little bit the history of INSEAD for the benefit of your family and friends. So INSEAD is a standalone business school that started in 1959 in the Chateau of Fontainebleau. It had a class of 53 MBA students. Our founder, Georges Doriot, was a professor at Harvard Business School, and he had an idea of bringing management education to Europe, but his idea was much more than this. He wanted to create a place where the Germans, the French, the Brits, instead of fighting with each other, they'll actually build businesses together. INSEAD was, from the very beginning, designed to promote peace and prosperity. Today, of course, we look back and we share the same values. At the time, 1957, when the decision was made, the European economies were recovering from the Second World War, centuries of conflict around Europe. Today, unfortunately, again, there is a war raging on the east side of Europe. But from day one, our school had a very powerful vision, a school that goes beyond management education. For the following 60 years, the school has achieved a lot of success. Today, we are one of the biggest MBA programs in the world, the second biggest provider of executive education. We're the only business school that has 2 fully fledged and yet integrated campuses, one in Europe, one in Asia. But we have also a campus in Abu Dhabi and now also a hub in San Francisco. We created the Hoffman Institute for Business and Society that I will discuss a little bit later on. We are very proud of what the school has achieved, but despite all these accomplishments and landmarks, we still feel that we're moving too slowly. Today, environmental pressures, economic issues, social cohesion, populism, rising inequality, and climate change are on the front pages of newspapers and are big concerns. The challenges, of course, coming from new technologies and the future of work. We feel that the world is facing too many of these challenges, and we need to move faster and more decisively. When I started as a dean in 2013, almost 10 years ago, these issues were not on the front pages of newspapers, as much as they are today at least. Yet, to really understand what they mean and how we need to act, we need to look back in history and understand where we are standing today. 2,000 years ago, most people around the world have very similar income per capita. And they had basic consumption, shelter, basic food, clothing, and the life expectancy was about 30 to 40 years. The next 18 centuries saw very little development globally on average. In 1800s, in the beginning of the 19th century, 9 out of 10 people lived in extreme poverty, what will be classified today as less than $1.90 a day. Today, the world has changed dramatically. The last 200 years have been completely different from the previous thousands of years. Incomes have increased more than 15 times, life expectancy has doubled, and the world has enjoyed 200 years of economic growth. Magical growth, because when you think today what we have compared to 200 years ago, there is simply no comparison. We're all fascinated by these technologies, and when I teach my macroeconomics class, I always talk about this phenomenon of increasing growth since 1820 or so. But in this fascination, we forget that this growth has produced also undesirable byproducts and led to environmental damage. And more importantly, if you look at the first industrial revolution in the beginning of the 19th century, it created conditions and problems that none of the existing social, environment, economic, and political models could solve. So what happened? They collapsed. At their place, liberal democracies emerged, but at the same time, fascism and communism. In 1848, Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels wrote the Communist Manifesto because they were seeing the effects of this industrialization. And of course, as you know, this manifesto paved the way for very repressive regimes that existed in the 20th century. Now, if you look at the 19th century, the British Army alone fought in 34 wars around the world. So let me actually now quote from somebody who I believe is one of the most important thinkers of our time, Yuval Harari. By the way, Chinta was the person who sent me first his book, Sapiens, 8 or 9 years ago. But this is a different quote. This is from the third book, 21 Lessons for the 21st Century. So he writes, the challenge posed to human mankind in the 21st century by infotech and biotech is arguably much bigger than the challenge posed in the previous era by steam engines, electricity, and railroads. We cannot afford failed models. The industrialization, the drive for economic growth in the previous 200 years generated 34 wars for the British Army in the 19th century, 2 world wars, and thousands of other conflicts around the world. Yuval Harari thinks that the fourth industrial revolution will probably be even more damaging in its side effects. So we have to think today how we can eliminate these side effects. We have to think how we can go and preemptively do something to avoid these issues. So when I started in 2013, we're already thinking how to clarify, crystallize the mission of INSEAD. What is INSEAD? Why are we here? Why do we exist? And we decided that INSEAD exists and our mission will be based on the statement that business must be a force for good. This statement in the beginning meant something very simple. It meant that business creation eliminates poverty. In China in 1980, there were 840 million people who lived below the extreme poverty line. 85% of the Chinese population was in extreme poverty. Today, extreme poverty is eradicated. In the past 40, 50 years, a miracle has happened that has never happened before in the history of the world, where more than 1.6 billion people have been lifted out of poverty. And when you think about this, how did it happen? You realize that it didn't happen because of subsidies, because of foreign developmental aid from the World Bank or the IMF. It happened because of one and only one thing, and that is economic growth. And the only engine of economic growth in the long run is business creation. So we thought in the beginning, our mission is very simple. We get all these bright students from all over the world, give them the skills, the knowledge. We send them back with their energy. They lift people out of poverty by creating jobs, creating businesses, and so on. But this miracle that happened in the last 50 years somehow did not convince the public that business actually is a good thing. In fact, the tensions between business and society were increasing, not decreasing. And we realized that that's not enough. Today, our business as a force for good mission statement relies on much more than just economic growth. It means that in the process of business creation, of value creation for your company, you have to think what is the value that you create for the society and the environment. And we have to think urgently. We have to think today how to react to this because we are creating imbalances. Imbalances lead to wars and social unrest. We are creating imbalances between humans and nature, between rich and poor. Imbalances between men and women still persist. We're creating imbalances between current and future generations. So we have to ask ourselves, do we want to be at the vanguard of this change, of what needs to be done, or do we want to be the followers or bystanders? In his book, Life 3.0, Professor Max Tegmark from MIT, basically, it's a book about artificial intelligence. He said that what will happen to the future of work, what will happen with artificial intelligence, depends only on us. If we let the markets decide the outcome, we may actually not like it. So we have to think about this because I think INSEAD is a unique school. We, it's not some vague we, it's actually we sitting in this room, and we have to act on this. So I have a request for you. You will join now the alumni community. I have a request to ask you, how will you make INSEAD and its values your own? How will you promote business as a force for good? We want the world to admire you, not only for what you have done for your company or what you will do for your company, but also what you have done for the society and future generations. Today is the beginning and not the end of your relationship with INSEAD. I'm asking you to become true ambassadors of what INSEAD stands for. And INSEAD is about inclusion, diversity, tolerance, friendship, peace, and prosperity. So going forward, let us continue to champion diversity because it is key to strengthening communities, individuals, and society. Even as we're confronted by the devastating impact of wars, and we realize that now, more than ever, we need to promote peace and prosperity for every individual and every community in the world. We are proud that you decided to come to INSEAD to earn your Master in Management degree. I have no doubt that this class will change the world for the better. I have no doubt that you will contribute to the prominence of our alumni community. I have no doubt that you'll contribute to the prominence of the school that now you can call your own. The world is facing incredible challenges, from wars to climate change, inflation. You have acquired the knowledge, the tools, and the skills to turn these challenges into opportunities. You'll be facing an uphill battle, there is no doubt about this. But I know you'll win because you are INSEAD. You're not just alumni now, you are our partners in this magical journey called INSEAD. Congratulations and good luck, amazing class of 2023. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ilian. You guys have something to do for the rest of your life. Huh? It's my honor now to introduce you to your distinguished alumni speaker, Cinta Bhagat, MBA 2000D. Cinta Bhagat is Asian managing partner at L. Catterton, the world's largest consumer-focused private equity firm, minority owned by LVMH, which manages over 30 billion in equity capital with about 4 billion here in Asia. Mr. Baggett joined Catherton in mid-2019 and has been responsible for the end-to-end integration of the Asian franchise into the global firm. From 2015 to 2019, he was head of private markets for South Asia and concurrently head of global healthcare portfolio at Kaznan Nasional, overseeing a total of about 5 billion across a range of private and public markets. In particular, Mr. Baggett oversaw Kazan's holding in IHH Healthcare, the owner of Parkway Pantai, Acibadem, Fortis Hospital clusters across emerging markets. And he was involved in many other marquee transactions here in the region. Before that, he was at McKinsey from 2001 to 2014 in various positions, including 6 years as managing partner of the Singapore office. He has led McKinsey's work locally with the healthcare clusters with various leading Singaporean companies, with Temasek and GIC. He has pro bono work as well in Singapore, including several years as founding board member and program facilitator at Stewardship Asia, strategy facilitator to the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy from its inception until 2014, and later as strategy facilitator. He continues to support local institutions on a pro bono basis, most recently with the Institute of Mental Health. Mr. Baggett spent his formative years with his family business, Quadricon, and he was developing marketing, prefabricated construction technology in India, in Southeast Asia, and in the United States. He holds a degree of architecture from the University of Mumbai and an MBA from INSEAD, where he was, as we know now, a pioneer of the class here in Singapore, graduating our first MBA class in Singapore. Please help me welcome back Ms. Baggett to the stage. Thank you. Thank you.